Bahrain newspaper managing editor Ashraf Al-Ashry, who's joining us here on Qnews. Thanks for being there with us. So we've heard about this call between President Sisi of Egypt and the King of Bahrain. How significant do we think these efforts by Egypt and Bahrain are in advancing a regional ceasefire initiative?
To you and to your dear viewers, such phone calls come in the framework of the joint coordination between Egypt and the Kingdom of Bahrain, and also and a continued coordination for the sickness of the Arab issues. Hence, the President Sisi and the King of Bahrain have already offered the effort with respect to the conflicts between Iran and Israel, situation in Gaza, and the answer or the brutal campaign by the Israeli occupation forces against the Palestinian people. President al-Sisi and King bin Hamad have already offered the necessity of the necessity of the de-escalation, and also to have sorting out the conflicts through the negotiations and escalating the effort between Egypt and Kingdom of Bahrain, along with the Arab countries, to escalate the process of a ceasefire and to resuming of the negotiation table. Particularly the Israeli campaign that started in the 13th of June. So, through such a coordination and a consensus and an agreement will be anticipated in order to escalate the pace of the negotiations, in order to avoid a great regional war that might happen due to the escalations in the region. Egypt is represented as the main pillar of the solving out the conflicts in the region, particularly the Israeli war against the Palestinian people, along with the Israeli world campaign against Iran, and through which to deal with the European countries, along with the US and Russia, in light of advancing in Arab negotiations and initiatives.
Okay, and let me ask you, what do you think the implications are of Iran's missile strikes now reaching the West Bank? Might this create a shift in the nature of Israel's military response?
Along with the continuation of violence by Israel 24 hours and targeting some militarily Iranian sites and some strategic sites that is related to the transportation of fuel and gas, that will have some sort of an violent retaliation by Iran, as happened in the previous days. Hence, Iran is diversifying the types of the projectiles to be intensified in the hours to come. Hence, Iran is sending a message to the Israeli people: as long as the Israeli military operations will be confronted by a strong retaliation that targeting some sides within Israel in a bid to mobilize the public against Benjamin Netanyahu's government to stop the escalation. In light of trade and strikes that would expected to continue within the upcoming weeks unless we have an American pressure against Israel to stop the military operations.
Okay, well, let me talk to you about diplomacy, because France and Russia are attempting to revive diplomatic efforts and nuclear negotiations. Do these stand any chance of taking place whilst Israel is still attacking Iran?
Absolutely. Efforts by the E3 European countries and that during the foreign ministers meeting with the foreign ministers of the E3 European countries, along with the foreign minister of the Iranian Republic of Islamic Republic. So, in order to resume the nuclear negotiations, but in return, as cited by the President Trump, that Iran isn't prepared to do negotiations by setting a deadline in the upcoming days for convincing Iran to the possible resumption and submit of some of the American demands regarding the establishment of the nuclear facilities. Iran is affirming that it is very much prepared to continue the negotiation talks along with a meeting with the Iranian foreign minister with the Islamic countries in order to push forward back to the negotiation table. But this was also provided to the pause or the halt of the military operations against Iran, as the European control isn't that strong, and the only influencer that would impact the process is the U.S. role against practicing pressure against Israel. And so the ball now is in the court of the United States in order to resume the negotiation firstly.
Okay, and you mentioned the E3 there, of course, for viewers. That's France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, and they were having a meeting yesterday in Geneva with the foreign minister of Iran. But what about regional actors like Egypt, like Turkey? Could they have an effect on the United States does next?
Absolutely. The Turkish Egyptian stance, along with the Gulf countries, of having good ties with the US, that they may play a very substantive role with the United States in order to pave the way for the diplomatic effort and the resume negotiation. Egypt and Turkey has a very great regional and historical ways in the region, along with their ties with Trump. I mean, the Gulf countries. These countries, the Gulf countries, and along with Egypt and Turkey, they will represent the cornerstone in ending the conflict and to convince the American party to give an opportunity for the resumption of negotiations and try to convince Israel not to target the nuclear facilities in Iran, that in a bid to avoid any expansion of the war.
Well, let's keep an eye on that and watch closely what will happen in the coming days and weeks. Ashraf Al-Ashry is the Al Ahram newspaper's managing editor, joining us from Cairo. Thank you very much indeed.